What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters, and welcome to No Life to Metal. Going to be doing a rock metal update. That's right. Time for rock and metal update. This is actually not a metal update. It is a rock update. I wouldn't even call this a hard rock update. Mostly prog, some psych, a few other things mixed in here. Mostly 7-inch singles, but I'm going to start right off with one that's not just a 7-inch single, but this is Bebop Deluxe. I don't know how to describe Bebop Deluxe other than just rock. I mean, they're just a band I've been into since the 70s. Their first couple albums are my favorites. They have kind of this, I don't know, T-Rex, David Bowie, that Ian Hunter, Mata Hoople kind of vibe going on to them. Very, very good band. Great guitar player, and I just always enjoyed them. I actually have a couple different versions of this live album, but I've never owned the UK pressing, which is what this is. So the reason I'm showing it in this one as opposed to like on a regular 12-inch video is because I bought this online from a seller, and it said it had the 7-inch single with it. And that's the only reason I bought it, because like I said, I already have the US pressing. The US pressing has one black and one white vinyl inside of it, so it's two 12-inch. This is a single with a 7-inch as well. So when I received the album in the mail, the single wasn't with it. It was just a 12-inch. So I contacted the guy, and I'm like, hey, dude, I never got the single. I only got the 12-inch. Well, let me see if I can find it for you. It's got to be around here somewhere. Never could find it. So I never got it. So he's just like, just keep the record. Don't worry about it. So I kept the record, threw it off to the side, didn't put it in my collection because it was missing something, and I'm just anal like that. So I put it off to the side, and it's been sitting off to the side for months. Well, I finally I'm always looking for 7-inch singles, and I found this single on sale from one of the sellers that I was buying some other things from. So it's the reason that these things never seem to show up is because people seem to sell the 7-inch single separately from the 12-inch. Now, these two things should be together, so I was glad to finally find a copy. So I basically got the 12-inch free because the guy gave me my money back, and then I bought the 7-inch for a decent price. So it's just a cool collectible for me. Like I said, I'm a Bebop Deluxe fan. I have been for years. Their first two albums are just fantastic. Old school rock from the 70s. All right, next, the rest of this stuff is 7 inches, and this is a part of the pile. So I'm going to go through these rather quickly. There is a lot of prog in here, but there's one whole giant section of this, which is just Genesis and Genesis related. So if you're a Genesis fan, stick around to the end. If you're not a Genesis fan, or you're not a prog fan or Psych fan, you could probably skip this video and go check out one of my metal videos instead. So all right, first off, this is something I've never seen one of these out in the live anywhere. This is out in the live, out in the world, out in the record stores. But this is a mono stereo promo pressing of, and I always struggle with this name, Premiata Forneria Marconi. I think I did it right that time. Premiata Forconi. See, I messed it up. Premiata Forneria Marconi. I don't know why I struggle with that, but everybody knows them as PFM. And I'm fairly new to this band. Actually, it was on the Metal Roundtable when we were doing an interview with Saxon's drummer, Nigel. And he recommended I check out these guys because we were talking about prog rock. And sure enough, I checked out a couple of their albums, really like them, so I've been looking for their stuff. And I had to run across this 7-inch single, and I snatched it up. It's got the original Atco Atlantic sleeve on it. And like I said, it is a stereo mono pressing. So kind of cool. Just a collector's item. It's odd it's US pressing because you just don't see their stuff around here much. They're an Italian band, so awesome single. This one here is a German single from 1977 from the Point of No Return album. This is Portrait He Knew, which is an underrated song from that album. Should have been a hit for him, along with, Dust in the Wind and the song Point of No Return. But this song is just as good and just as big a hooks. Really could have been a huge hit for him. Why it wasn't, I don't know. But the B-side is Lightning's Hand. So, cool picture sleeve as well, obviously. A nice live photo of the band from back in the day. Staying with the Kansas and the same album, this is a US promo pressing of Point of No Return and Dust in the Wind. So, like I said, the two big hits from the album on one single in the original Kirshner sleeve. And more Kansas is the last one. I promise there's not more Kansas in here. This is a 1983 U.S. pressing on CBS Associated Records of Everybody, My Friend. Everybody's My Friend, backed with End of the Age. I really like 70s Kansas. Don't dislike the 80s Kansas. They obviously went more in more of an AOR direction when, especially when John Elefante was singing for him. But I kind of prefer the proggier stuff. But I don't dislike it either. So, all right, 10cc, kind of an art rock band, prog rock band. They started off as a prog rock band, and then they kind of went different directions. The band was 4 guys, and then they split. This is a 1975 German single from the original soundtrack. That's the name of the album, original soundtrack, and. This is when they were still kind of a prog rock band, and before the band split into 2. So I like actually everything they did right through when they split and went into 2 bands. But this early stuff is definitely classic and more in the art rock, prog rock range. So Art for Art's Sake, backed with Get It While You Can, 1975 German pressing, and same song, U.S. pressing on the Mercury with the Mercury label from '77. For Art's Sakes and Get It While You Can. I probably have like 30 10cc singles, and I don't think I've ever shown any of them other than those 2 because they've never been. I don't do stuff outside of rock and metal that much on video, so I should start doing more. People have requested it, so I probably will. But all right, another one that you definitely don't see much around here. This is Eloy. Fantastic prog rock band. Really got into these guys about 5, 6, maybe 10 years ago, and pretty much own all their studio albums, 12-inch vinyl. You just don't see singles very often, especially picture sleeve singles. This is actually a 1980 single, so one of their more later singles. This is a German pressing, and let me show you the back because it's got tour dates on it, which I thought was kind of cool. So it actually was released to promote the tour on the Harvest label. So yeah, Eloy single. Like I said, not one you see around very often, and not one I actually think about looking for all that often. This is one that I've told you in past 7-inch videos, I'm looking for all these different bands, usually, Priest and Aerosmith and Nugent and Thin Lizzy and, all the different bands that I'm really into. And I am into Eloy too, but it's not a band I ever think about checking for 7-inch singles on. This is one I found when I was looking for other stuff, and like, oh wow, an Eloy single, and I jumped all over that. So. All right, another one you don't see in the U.S. very often. This is on Passport label. This is a mono stereo promo pressing from 1974 of Astral Man from Nectar. And Nectar are an odd band because they're kind of a part German, part UK mixed band. I've always loved Nectar, and I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite from them, but it doesn't matter. There's just not a Nectar album I don't like. But the funny thing is, you just don't see their stuff here very often. I used to see it back in the day. I used to see their stuff in the used bins all the time. But I don't think I ever saw any singles. And you barely see them in the used bins these days. So, all right, that was a promo pressing as well as this one. This is on the Capitol label. This is a mono stereo from Gentle Giant. I'm Turning Around. U.S. pressing from the Missing Pieces album. Again, this is kind of later for them, 1977. Regardless, good stuff. Glad to find any singles by them. I don't own one single picture sleeve 7-inch single from Gentle Giant, so that's something that needs to be rectified. All right, Pink Floyd. I don't know how you classify them. People call them prog. Some people call them psych. Probably depends which area you're talking about. In this case, I've got 4 singles here, I think. This is U.S. pressing for Run Like Hell and Don't Leave Me Now from The Wall, obviously, which would have been, 1979 or 1980? I should know when The Wall was put out, but I don't. 79. I knew it was around that area. So yeah, cool one I picked up. It was cheap. Pink Floyd singles are funny because even singles like this that don't have a picture sleeve and are just for some reason Pink Floyd singles just seem to sell more than other bands. So this is an oddball. It looks like a single from The Wall, but it actually has the song When the Tigers Broke Free, which, if I'm not mistaken, is from the final cut. So this is like a song that was recorded for The Wall, but wasn't used in The Wall, that kind of thing. Anyhow, I'm back with Bring the Boys Home. And a picture sleeve. It actually has a gatefold, too, which is why usually I put the record in a white sleeve in the back. It is in a white sleeve in between the gatefold. So really cool cover art. I mean, I love the graphics from the wall. So nice find there. As well as this one. This is a jukebox single, Take It Back and Astronomy Domain. This is actually from, it's got the actual jukebox slip in it. U.S. pressing. Pink Floyd. Odd one. I don't ever remember, any Pink Floyd, other than like, say, Money or, The Wall being in jukeboxes. But that's a cool one to find for not a whole lot of money. It was fairly inexpensive. And I listened to this thing when I first got it, and I cannot remember if Astronomy Domain is live or a re-recorded version of it. I know it's not the original version, no. I'll have to re-listen. I've literally had that single for months. Listened to it once, put it off to the side to do it, showing a video, and I haven't listened to it again, so I really need to pay attention and listen to it again. And this one I don't know a whole lot about. It's a recent Pink Floyd single. I see them all over the place. They're a little expensive, but they're supposedly all the money goes to charity. I don't know how that's possible, and most of these things are being sold by people outside of Pink Floyd. So, but anyhow, this is Hey Hey Rise Up, Pink Floyd, and then A Great Day for Freedom 2022, featuring David Gilmour, Nick Mason, Rick Wright. So, cool picture sleeve single. Kind of dig the sunflower with the eyeball in it. Kind of a fun, trippy looking cover. All right, getting away from Pink Floyd and into another one of my favorite bands, another UK band. This is Yes, this is Roundabout. This is a German single from 1972. Nice to see a picture sleeve. Yes singles don't pop up a lot either, and if they do, they're mostly the 80s singles, which I like the 80s stuff, but I really like the 70s stuff. I just love those jams. Chris Squire's bass was just so heavy, and that growling, I almost want to say grungy, just that dirty sound he got from that Rickenbacker bass, and he was such a fluent player. Anyhow, big Yes fan, and nice to find this one. Like I said, German single from 1972 on the Atlantic label. And one more. Well, there's several more from Yes here, but this is Wondrous Stories, 1977, I believe. This also is a German single, picture sleeve, naked butt. Sorry. It's yeah. Great. I don't know. This is not a fan favorite album, but I like this album a lot. It has Parallels on the B side, and again, it's on the. You can see it's on the Atlantic label, but you can also see the difference in. I'll show you the two labels, so you can see the difference between the 2 years. This one was 72 and 77, so. More Yes. Now we're getting in. This is an 80s single. This is 1983. I have most of the singles, but I just didn't have this one, and it was super cheap, and it was a picture sleeve, so I snatched it up. It Can Happen to You, and I can't remember if I'm thinking this was. Hang on a second. I can't remember what's on the B side, or if it was a promo single. It Can Happen, and both are stereo. By 1983, they weren't really doing mono pressings much anymore. So, yeah, promo pressing. It's 1983 and a picture sleeve. Staying on Yes related, this is Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe. Basically, Yes without Chris Squire. I love the one album they did, and they had a live album. They've got some singles and stuff like that. But, this is it's basically Yes. It looks like Yes. It sounds like Yes. It's got all the members of Yes, minus Chris Squire. It's Yes. Apparently, Chris Squire owned the name, wasn't part of this, so therefore they went with this name. Whatever. 1989, this is Brother of Mine, which was a minor hit for the band. I remember hearing that back on the radio back in the day, back with a song that was not on any of the albums called Vultures. And you can kind of see the vultures there. Yeah, so if you're into Yes and you've never heard Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe, worth checking out. And then finally, from the Yes connection, this is John Anderson, vocalist, solo album from 1980. This is Days and Some Are Born, picture sleeve single. This is a German single. Another one from Bebop Deluxe. This is later aired. This is 1976. This is from the Modern Music album. And by the time they went into modern music, they were getting a little more into the new wave kind of sound that was starting to come around in the mid to late 70s. Stuff like Gary Newman, and there was tons of it coming out there. Kraftwerk was another one that was, there was just a ton of different sounds coming out. And They were searching for a new sound too with this album. I like it, but I still like their first two albums the best. It was just more raw, more organic, and that's kind of, you know, the thing I like. I also like Bill Nelson's solo stuff, especially this Red Noise album. I thought was fantastic. It was kind of a return to a more progressive sound, more experimental. So Bill Nelson's Red Noise. This is Furniture Music, backed with I don't remember what's on the B-side, and I usually try and make sure the B-side's sticking out on the back so I can read it without having to open it up, but didn't do that in this one. So I did put the year in the 1979 UK single. I try to remember to do that, so I'm not guessing. I usually come pretty good, close when I'm guessing. Oh, by the way, it is on red vinyl, by the way. So the B-side is Wonder Toys, The Last Forever, acquired by Mirrors. So there's 2 tracks on the B-side. So yeah, 1979 single from Bill Nelson's Red Noise. He also has a ton of solo albums out just under Bill Nelson. I can't say that I know all his music, but what I've heard I've liked. He's obviously a fabulous musician, and one of those guys I always wanted to meet, never got a chance to. So Bill Nelson's Red Noise, Furniture Music. Okay, where are we at? 17 minutes in, I gotta get moving. All right, Birth Control, German band, formed in, what, 1966, I think. 66, 67, somewhere in there. Psychedelic, a bit progressive. This is a 75 single. It's a Spain pressing, and it is the Gamma Ray Parts 1 and 2. So a nice picture sleeve, cool pictures of the band on the CBS label. Like I said, it's a Spain pressings, but it's not. A lot of Spain pressings actually have everything in Spanish, but this one has everything in English. So, all right, this is actually, I've got 3 singles from this band, and this is Village Queen, backed with Children's Fantasy from Glass Harp from 1970-71. Of course, Phil Keaggy was the guitar player. I'm a big Phil Keaggy fan, and I actually like his Glass Harp stuff a lot. So anyhow, you got on the Decca label in the original Decca sleeve. And then Just Always and The Answer, also from 1971, again in the Decca sleeve. And finally, from a different album, different year, this is from 1972, I believe. Did I write the year on this one? Of course I didn't. 1972, and again, Glass Harp. This is La Dide and David and Goliath from 1972 Decca label, the newer Decca sleeve. Okay, next, some Psych from Hawkwind. These are all kind of latter era singles, but they're still kind of cool. This is kind of a classic live album to begin with. Matter of fact, I think I just saw there's a 12-inch or a 10-inch reissue of this particular single because this thing was so popular back in the day. But this is from 1980. Hawkwind Live, Shot Down in the Night was the single. You can see the front and the back. Urban Gorilla is on the B-side. You can see not much to the back, but I don't know. I got into Hawkwind back in the probably early 80s, probably around 82, 83. When I got into Motorhead and found out that Lemmy was part of Hawkwind, that's when I kind of, and that, you know, the song Motorhead itself was actually a Hawkwind track that he wrote for Hawkwind, and that's how the band got their name. That's when I started getting into Hawkwind and discovering a lot of that kind of space rock or whatever you want to call this. That's kind of when I got into them. So I got into them a bit late, like I said, about in the mid-80s, but I still like them. I still collect their stuff. So here's Angel of Death. This one was a couple years later. This is 1981, 1 year later. Backed with, again, I forgot to flip the single over. I try to always remember to put the single side. Backed with Transdimensional Man. Transdimensional Man. This is on the RCA label. And this is a UK pressing, I believe. I'm trying to see, because like I said, I didn't write down this one, but I'm pretty sure this is the UK pressing. And then one more, Night of the Hawks, Hawkwind, from 1984, with Green Find Demon on the B-side. Okay, this is not Prog, not Psych, not anything else, but I never know where to put these guys because they're a bit outside of my norm. But I'm a fan not just because they're good musicians, but because one of the guys in the band was a childhood friend of mine and remains a friend acquaintance of mine to this day. I mean, I can't say I hang out with the guy. He lives in New York City and I live in New Mexico. But you know, we get in touch every once in a while and just have some chats. And he was a high school friend. A lot of my early childhood, you know, musical memories were made with him and some of the guys that we hung out with. But anyhow, this is Railroad Jerk, and the single is called "We Understand." And right there, that's my buddy Tony that I went to high school with. Tony Lee was also in a band called Heathen's Rage, among others, and Drunken Angel. He was in a lot of different bands, but this one was this is actually a double single, so it's got two 7-inch singles inside of it. Custom center labels. I don't know. It's a little bit outside my scope as far as musical direction. It's definitely 90s, a little bit punk influenced, a little bit of alternative influence, a little bit of funk influence. These guys were just kind of all over the place. Maybe, I don't know, Red Hot Chili Peppers, maybe a little bit, maybe a comparison. I'm not a fan of Red Hot Chili Peppers at all, but I kind of dig these guys. So I don't know, maybe that's not a good comparison. Anyhow, Railroad Jerk, We Understand. Listen to the song Bang the Drum. I love that song. It's such a huge hook. Such a huge... It could have been a hit. I don't know why it wasn't. It should have been. And then one more from Railroad Jerk. This is 02-2093. Really, this is a really cool packaging. It's not like, you know, an expensive packaging or anything like that. But what they... I don't know who packaged this or where they got this done at. But it's got the little hole thing here. And you can see the back. It's on this textured paper. It looks like the paper and everything has been silk screened. I'm sure it's printed with a press. I could probably get a loop and tell you. Actually, I have a loop right here. I do this for a living, so I could probably tell you in 5 seconds if this was printed or... Let's see here. This looks to be... It looks printed, but it's like a single color ink. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not offset printing, so maybe it is a silk screen of some sort. Regardless, kind of cool packaging. But you've got Message to Macy, Glorious Bitch, I Don't Want to Be Your Welcome Mat. That's the tracks. So, I don't know. Just a cool single. Check them out if you're just looking for something interesting to check out. Railroad Jerks. They're from New York City. Like I said, my buddy Tony Lee was the bass player and one of the songwriters in the band. And did some vocals and other stuff as well. So, there you go. I don't know what I did with the sleeve. I'll find it after. I just had it a second ago. Oh, there it is. Alright. The rest of this video, and I'm going to have to go quick because I'm already at 23 minutes. This is all Genesis and Genesis related. So here we go. One of my all-time favorite bands. I've talked about them before. I'm just a Genesis fanatic. I love the prog stuff that they did in the 70s. I love this, you know, the stuff like up through Duke and Abacab and even the self-titled Genesis. I even like some of the stuff on the later when they started getting, you know, more poppy. Even when they're in their poppiest, they still had songs on the album, deeper cuts that were very progressive and just great musicians as well. So anyhow, this is 1973. This is a promo pressing on the Charisma label for I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe. I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe, mono and stereo, and this actually has a date pressed on of January 7th, 1974, and I have no idea who puts that on there. I'm assuming this was something that was at a radio station somewhere, because every time I see like a date stamped on it, it usually has the date and like a radio station call-outs, but being this one was in the UK when this was released, I'm assuming that it was a UK station. Regardless, pretty cool to find an old single from that. You know, from 73. The early Genesis singles, like, I'd love to have the picture sleeve of the Knife single, but man, $300, $400, $500. I've seen them up to $600. Just can't swing that. So this next one I saw at a record show. Me and a buddy went to a record show in Albuquerque probably about 6 months ago, and I was digging through the 7-inch single pile, and I pulled this out. I was like, yes! Because this one I've been wanting. Didn't have a price on it. And I went up and I asked the guy, and he's like, $75. I'm like, eh. So anyhow, this is the Ripples single, 1976. This is an Italian single. Great picture sleeve single. You can see, you know, when Genesis was a 4-piece. Obviously, Peter Gabriel's not there, but you still have Steve Hackett right here, Mike Rutherford, you know, Phil Collins. Tony Banks. So, yeah, cool single, picture sleeve single. So I was determined after that record show, I didn't buy it because I wasn't paying that much for it, to find a decently priced copy. And sure enough, I found one from a seller and bought a bunch of stuff from him because it was not only reasonably priced, but he had a bunch of other stuff I wanted, and it made it worth it because of the shipping. So, Italian pressing, 1974 Genesis Ripples, backed with It's Yourself. And that was from the Ripples. Which album was that from? I should know this being a big fan, but it's just slipping my mind for some reason. Well, don't matter. Genesis. And then you have Your Own Special Way. This is a U.S. pressing from 1976. This is a mono and stereo U.S. promo pressing in the original Atco sleeve. Again, stereo mono pressing from 1978 of Go West Young Man, and from the And Then There Were Three album. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of Duke. I probably got like 5 or 6 singles of the song Misunderstanding, all with different sleeves. They're kind of neat though, because they're all part of the same look. They got that, simplistic, simple graphics look, and all based on the original album cover. So I really dig them all. So I was glad to finally find a copy of this one. This is a UK pressing. And then this one, actually, I might have shown this one in a live opening video, but I'm going to show it again. This is actually a gold standard Canadian pressing of No Reply at All and Abacab. And I love the song Abacab. And as a pop song, it's really a progressive song if you listen to it. It's got these long jams. The song itself, the original version of it, it's like 7 minutes long. It's not, it was not a made-for-radio song, but it was a big hit for the band. And the ABAC Abacab was basically the way they would call the song Abacab at first, because it was the way the song was built and formed. So you had part A, and then B, and then A, and so it was like Abba, and then part C, which would have been the bridge, and then A, the verse, and then the chorus would be. So that was kind of where Abacab came from, and then they just wanted to keep the name of the song, and they built the whole song around that, even though the structure of the song changed from the original A, B, A, C, A, B. Anyhow, speaking of Abacab, I probably have 10 or 15 singles of Abacab. I'm always looking for these singles. They're always slightly different, picture sleeves. I actually have 4 different vinyl pressings of this with 4 different, slightly different covers for this album too. So anyhow, again, back with another record. Put another record on. Live version of Turn It On Again. Backed with Who Done It. This is a German single from 1981. I've never owned this one. I love the simplistic graphics of it. It's Throwing It All Away. What a cool graphic and a cool single. And this one is so clean. I've seen these around occasionally, but they've always got ring wear or they're tore up or everything. This one's like stone cold mint. I mean, it is. It doesn't even have a bend on it unless any marks on it. And I'll be, what's the B-side is I'd Rather Be You. So, and always looking for Genesis singles. Another one, I've got several of these. That's All by Genesis from, what is this, 1980. Gosh, I can't remember the year on this one. I should have wrote it down. Don't. Let's see, maybe it's on here. 83? Like, it's got to be 83. Anyhow, this is Throwing It All Away. Sorry, this is not Throwing It All. This is That's All. I have a couple different versions of this. One of them is a shaped picture single, a version of it. And I've got a bunch of different sleeves of this one, but I've never actually owned just the straight sleeve. It's not a great graphic, but it's still cool to own. And That's All as well. This is actually a U.S. white label promo pressing, and this one actually does have a date stamped on it on the back too. The date on the back is November 11th, 1983, from WUJC. Don't know where that's at. Haven't looked into it, but still kind of cool to own in the original Atlantic group sleeve. Very nice. Okay, Hold On to My Heart. This is a UK single from 1991. Again, awesome graphics. Love the simplicity of it. And then No Son of Mine. Beautiful graphics. This is I believe this is a German single. Maybe it was UK. Nope. Big sticker on there. Made the UK, and I'm all trying to focus on the itty bitty little type on the bottom. All right, this is I Can't Dance. Again, from the UK. And then we get out of Genesis and going into some. This is Genesis related, but this is Peter Gabriel. I don't remember. I don't recall. I got no memory of anything at all. I love that song. I love that album. Peter Gabriel 3. What was that? 1980, I believe it was. Phil Collins actually played drums on that album. Interesting part of that album is there's no cymbals used on the album. It's all just drums. And it was, I guess, I read stories with Phil Collins about how difficult that was for him to learn, but he said because he learned how to do that and how to play without the cymbals, I mean, it really helped him develop a sound, and that's how he kind of got that cavernous sound that became really popular with this, In the Air Tonight. This is a UK single of In the Air Tonight, the original release from 1981, and then I also happen to have sitting here the 1988 remix single, which I didn't even know existed until recently. Didn't need to be remixed, but it's still kind of cool to have a different version of it, backed with I Missed Again. I said I missed again. Anyhow, I didn't mean to show those. I was showing Peter Gabriel, but that's how kind of that sound came, was because of that Peter Gabriel 3 album and Phil Collins playing on it. 2 more singles to go. This is Schock den Affen. German pressing and German single for Shock the Monkey, sung in German, which is kind of cool. There is a full-length album of that album sung in German. I have I have at least 1, if not 2. I know I have Peter Gabriel 3, where he sings the whole thing in German. And I've heard that album so many times, and I play it so often. It's just a fun listen because it's just something different, and you kind of singing the words in English in your mind and hearing the words in German at the same time. It's just fun. I enjoy it. But this is 1982. Schocken den Affen. Backed with Soft Dog instrumental. And then the last single, this is Digging in the Dirt. From 1982, this is it 82 or 92? I think it's 92. Maybe even 93. I'm trying to see the dates. Itty bitty little type. Probably 93. Anyhow, just I really liked the 80s stuff better than the 90s stuff. I don't know. There was just those first 3 to 4 Peter Gabriel solo albums are just gems. I love them all. So anyhow, that's the last one. Peter Gabriel. That's my rock metal update for prog rock, psych rock, space rock, and all that kind of different stuff. Appreciate y'all watching, especially if you made it to the very end of the video. Please thumbs up, subscribe, and go ahead and leave a message below. Love talking to y'all. And that's it. God bless. Stay strong.